I just read one of my comments and said, the geezer. I never thought I'd be a geezer, and here I am. I'm a geezer. Oh my gosh. I was just thinking today I was going to summarize. I'm sure I'm not going to get all of them. A geezer, a child molester, an asshat. What else have I been called? Oh my gosh. Well, of course, the Antichrist and atheist and satanic this and satanic that. Oh gosh. The geezer. Anyway, I wanted to do a video. It looks like my room is tilted. Maybe it's the camera. There I am. I'm straightened out. Not according to the Mormon church, just according to the video camera. I wanted to do a video on a personal experience. Okay, I'm not making this crap up, people. I live in this state. Personal experience. Okay. If you have a special education child, or a child that has English as a second language, or a child that is not white and delightsome, don't bring them to Utah. Don't bring him to Utah. Now, I've told you before in other videos that Utah is the #1 state in the entire United States that spends the least amount of money per child in the school district. Oh, we love our children. We love our children. Sure they do, but they don't pay for them. The school buses, I told you, a kindergartner in Utah, a little girl kindergartner, has to walk a mile in the snow and in a blizzard to get to school. That's legal in Utah. Over a mile, she can get a school bus ride. Under a mile, she's screwed. So anyway, let me tell you what my personal experience is. I'm not making this up. My two girls, you know, I adopted from the Philippines. And when they came here, of course, they didn't speak English. And they needed some tutoring and some other kinds of things. Well, I had them tested. Now, I'm not currently, because I don't know how much the special education law in the United States has changed, but it's the federal law. And Utah hates big government. The big government keeps coming in and telling Utah, you're cheating, you're lying, you're stealing. Oh, big government, we don't want big government. They don't, because they're liars, cheaters, and thieves. And the big government has to keep coming in and saying, knock that crap off. Well, here was my experience with special ed. Now, I had special ed child in California. Aaron was autistic, and I dealt with special education and fair hearings and due process hearings and lawsuits and, oh my God, defending in front of 6 or 7 high-powered attorneys, etc. I know a little bit about special education and the law. Well, when I came to Utah, I knew my kids were qualified for certain types of help in getting their grades up and getting their language skills up, because the Philippines, their school system almost doesn't exist. Yeah, they go to school and they sit there, but my one child, she had 60 kids in a classroom. And they taught in Tagalog, English, and Visayan. How much could a child learn in that class? Anyway, I went to the school and I said, you know, I need some help, I need some counseling and tutoring, and I need this and that. Well, we have to test the kids. I said, okay, we'll test the kids. So anyway, they tested the kids, and one of the things I discovered from my research, now I spent a lot of time in a law library on this one. A lot of time in the law library. Utah makes its own test up for special ed. They don't go by Wechsler and Rorschach and other standardized tests in the United States. They don't want to pay any money for special education kids, so they make a test up that says, put your finger on number 1. And even an autistic kid can put their finger. No education for this one. He's too smart. He doesn't qualify. I'm telling you, the tests were ridiculous. The test had no validity. When they tested my girls, they had no reliability. And those who've had statistics and know something about probability values and reliability, you know that those are seriously defective tools to determine special education. So, one reason I'm out of the church is I keep asking questions, and I go, what the f... Anyway, they made their own test up, and they argued with me the kids were not qualified for this, for that. No, they can't. No, this not. I go, what are they qualified for? And they go, nothing. Just like every other, you know, kids with no arms, kids with no legs, kids rolling in a wheelchair with their head giving them propulsion. They're not qualified for anything. Oh, shit. Anyway, I love the Mormons. I love the Mormons. Now, this is a short story long, okay? I was over this, 6-8 months. I fought this, and I was in the the special ed department, and I was in a lawsuit with them, and they executed a no trespass order against me. I wasn't allowed to be on any school property because I said to the head of the special ed department, I said, I don't want your testimony. I want help with my children. And the guards just showed up, wheeled me out of there, slapped me with a piece of pink paper, and it took me a month or two to get that lifted. But boy, I'll tell you, the Mormons, they're going to use the laws. They're going to use the laws against you. You don't want to cross the Mormons unless you have an atomic bomb. No, don't tell the Danites that. No, I don't have an atomic bomb. I see that they monitor my channel. I do not advocate terrorism. I'm a peaceful person. Anyway, I argued with him, and got my kids as much service as I could to help them get even in the United States. Now, here's the point of this entire video. I've seen it with my own eyes, I've heard it with my own ears, and I have witnessed it with my own family. I couldn't figure out why in California special ed was an open checkbook. Whatever it took to educate a child, if a doctor said that they were special ed, the school district just took the doctor's orders. Not Utah. Utah will not even take a doctor's order that a child is special ed. My doctor told them, you know, one of my children is special ed. And they said, no, she's not. No, she's not. Because we don't want her to be. It's too much money. Well, here comes the big government. And you see this over and over and over and over in my videos. Utah wants a theocracy. They're not going to settle for anything less. Their profit is to be the president of the Mormon Church. And the rules of the Mormon Church should go out to the world with the power of the U.S. military. Now, here's what I found. And I had to do a lot of research on this, folks, so you can pat me on the back, because not everybody was able to get this. I did a study in the Department of Education up in Salt Lake City. And when they knew who I was, and when they knew who I was looking for, when I came into this is a public building. I mean, this is 14 stories tall, and it has every asshat educational person in the state of Utah. And I couldn't figure out why they were all asshats. When I was in California, at least the people were kind, and the psychiatrists and psychologists and testing the kids, they were all for the kids. These people were all for themselves. There's the Mormon syndrome. So when I walked in after I started studying, and they knew I was studying, and I was asking for documents, which the public has a right to, but no public person in Utah would ever ask for them, but I did. Well, the guard, he said, "Are you the new caribou?" Yeah. He says, "You can't come in here." I said, "Just is a public building." "I know, but you're not the public." Oh, God. Now, I know the first one or two sentences out of my mouth, the sheriff's department or the Salt Lake Police Department is going to show up. They side with these people all the time. I hadn't yelled, I hadn't screamed, I hadn't, jumped on tables, I hadn't done anything in that building, but they knew on the video cameras who I was, and they wrote down to the guard, "Don't let him in the building." Well, how do you fight that? Well, with 500 videos? Yes, that's how you fight it. You don't fight it there when the guard, has his hand on his gun like Columbo, or Barney Fife. If any of you are old enough to remember Barney, he had the bullet in his pocket. His gun wasn't loaded because he kept shooting himself in the foot. Anyway, I did get into what's it called up there? Ogden Law Library. It's part of the public library up there, and they have Westlaw and Lexis and all kinds of things that you can research. Well, here's the truth about Utah. Utah, at the time I was doing this, which was about 2 years ago, was in a lawsuit with the federal government. The big government came in and goes, "Jesus, this isn't special ed. This is fraudulent. You can't do it this way. If you do it this way, we're going to take over special ed in Utah. So you Mormons straighten yourselves up so we don't have to come in and spank your monkey." Well, they gave Utah, I think it was 3 years, and I was there the second year, and still the second year they were behind. They were not meeting the standards of the federal government in special education. Now, why? Why? I'll tell you why. When you take 10% of any family's income and you throw it down the poop chute to build a mall for rich people, those families have a hard time making a living and paying for their children. Sometimes they have to lie. Sometimes they have to cheat. Sometimes they have to steal. So you see more of that in Utah than any other place, because it's 10% of the money is gone, and another 2 or 3% is gone with other contributions that are pretty much required. Here's what I found, and here's what pisses me off. Utah passed a special law that says, yeah, we get all that government money coming in for kids with no arms, no head, no eyes, no tongue, but we don't give a shit about those kids. We're just going to push them off in a corner somewhere. We're not going to build ramps in our schools for a wheelchair. Hell, let the kid climb up. He's like a snake anyway. Here's the Utah big government slapped the ass off of them. Any money that the federal government sent Utah that Utah didn't need, guess where that money went? Guess where the federal and the state allowed that money to go? Into administrative cost of special education. The teachers, the counselors, the PhD testing psychiatrists and psychologists, the principals, the special education teachers, their salaries all went up. While the retarded kid laid over in the corner and they go, "You don't need anything. Throw him a cookie." That pisses me off even as I do the video. Even as I do the video, I'm pissed off that Utah robs the money from special education children. And please, the state of Utah, sue my ass. Sue me, please. Let's bring it out publicly, because you know it's the truth. You were under federal regulation guidelines and were being supervised like a child because your special education standards did not meet the minimum standards of the United States of America. And the big government came in and saw all your salaries going up and all the administrative costs going up and cars and computers and all the things the people used. But the retarded kids laying over in the corner, like my kids were laying over in the corner, couldn't get a book, couldn't get a translation, couldn't get counseling, couldn't get shit without a lawsuit. I had to have 2 lawsuits. My kids are up to grade level now. But not because of Utah. Not because of Jesus. Because of me fighting for their little butts to get equal and to get out there to speak English and be able to become citizens. Now I've got kids that play classical piano. They're A students. They're on the track team. They're on the basketball team. They take dance. They are active in the community. They babysit. They work. And they're normal little kids. No thanks to the Utah public schools. It's the worst public schools I've ever been in. And when I was in special ed meetings, I would have all of the Relief Society presidents who were teachers tell me, we don't need to spend that much money. We get a bang for our buck. I said, are you so stupid that you think I'm going to believe that? She goes, yeah, I do. Well, I said, well, you probably got the wrong caribou. That's the old caribou. The new caribou goes, no. So here you got it, folks. My ears, my eyes, my typing on Lexis and on Westlaw, and looking into the thousands and thousands of pages of the Department of Education in Utah. It was then corrupt. It was then robbing money from the special ed kids. They were making their own test up, so no kid qualified for special ed. So they had a huge surplus for administrative charges, and boy, they accepted it. So if you have a child that needs any special help at all, don't bring him to the state of Utah. And I challenge publicly for the State Department of Education to sue me for putting this video out. Because you know what? Truth is a defense for liable. I saw it with my own eyes. I argued it for years with the Education Department, telling them their testing was skewed and it was made so nobody qualified, and they purposely created a surplus for themselves. Sue me! Sue me! If you don't see him sue me, you got to assume what I saw was the damn truth. I fought and fought and fought in this state every day to try to get special ed services for my children, and even a medical doctor certifying that the child was special ed didn't cut shit with the school district. They have their own rules, their own regulations, and the reason that they hate big government is they pull these shenanigans over and over, and they have for 175 years, and unless they get caught by the big government, their salaries go up, their houses go up, they get new cars, and they go, see, the Lord's blessing us. The Lord's not blessing you, you're stealing. That's not Jesus' blessing. It's called thievery. Read the 10 Commandments. I'm an atheist, and my standards are higher than that. If I get money for special ed for kids, I make sure every damn cent goes to the kids. I told you on another video, I had Social Security Administration investigate me 2 or 3 years ago because I was building a unit for special ed kids, and $1 million went through my bank account, and that made Social Security nervous. Agents all over the property. They said, well, you know, we're going to do an investigation and check that all the money that was sent and all the grants that came in here that went through your account went for the kids. None of it went into David. Yeah, okay. Whatever. I've been audited by the IRS 3 times, and one time they paid me $300. One time it was a push, and one time they said, you're too old to have a baby. I took Genevieve and put her face right in the Social Security agent's face. Does that look like a baby to you? Does that look like her birth certificate to you? They say, oh, we're sorry. Your weenie is still working. I said, yeah, overtime. I'm getting out of here. So anyway, they lie. They cheat. They steal. And my Social Security and IRS investigation, and they're right, $1 million went through my checking account. It took them a year, came back with a full letter that said, we're sorry, every damn cent went where it was supposed to go. Case closed. I don't mind big government. I think they should check up on people. I think there should be regulations. I think people should obey the law, letter and the spirit of the law. Most of the time, the Mormons don't. I've seen the special education through the Department of Education here in Utah, and it's one of the most sad excuses for a Department of Education I have ever seen. Now, let me tell you a side story that's kind of quick, okay? One of the guys, I think he was 43, that was a real asshat. Now, I'm not going to mention his name, but when you see anyone in, you know, the Salt Lake area, if he has a bumper sticker on him that says asshat, that's it. That's the guy right there. Well, you're not going to see that guy. He gave me the hardest time in trying to get any services for my kids, and he was a real hard-ass Mormon. Punitive, I'm in charge, it's the Lord's money, you can't have it. Oh my God. Well, I got the money, and I got services for the kids, not as much as they should have got, but enough to get them by. And guess what? Guess what? The son of a bitch died within 3 months of being a total asshole to our family. 42-year-old guy, dead. Jesus killed him? Muhammad killed him? Buddha? You religious people, go ahead and decide for yourself. Is that poetic justice? 42, 43, whatever he was, 44 years old, young man, died because of the stress he was giving parents, I think, on cheating them out of special education for their children. And anyway, that's a side note. If you have a special ed child, don't bring them to Utah unless you expect the fight of your life and you've got an attorney on retainer. And boy, they will fight you. The first lawsuit that I had against them, they spent over $50,000 in attorney fees just to defend against me, pro se. You gotta love the Mormons. And someone says, you can have an opinion, but you can't make fun of us. Who made that rule up? The Mormons? I think they're humorous. I think they're a joke. I think it's a damn circus. And I think they're going around hurting each other and hurting mostly those that don't believe that the way they do. They are mean and cruel, shunning people. I've seen it with my own eyes and my own ears, my own life. I'm not making this up. Thanks.